Well, good morning to everybody. It's a fantastic spring day. I'm glad you could come here. This is our first time in the Convocation Hall at McMaster. I hope you like it. Perhaps you didn't appreciate the stairs, but otherwise it's all very nice. Well, I'd like to welcome all the family and friends of donors and our faculty and many of our students and our staff. It's really great to get everyone together. So you're probably wondering what's brought us all together today. Well, for me anyway, the most important thing is that we really convey to you our sincere gratitude. I think that's the central theme today. And I think many things that the students will be doing will be not just saying how grateful they are, but really indicating the importance of the body donor to the program here at McMaster University. You know, I find myself in a very interesting position at McMaster because I'm really in the middle of the road, which is usually a recipe to get hit. But the point is that I sit and lecture to, thousands of McMaster students every year that use the anatomy facility. And every day I see how grateful they are for a chance to use the facility. And of course, I get to know the families. I even know some of the donors. And so I sit in the middle between these people, and the donors, of course, and the families really don't ever get to know exactly what the students think, and the students never really get to meet the families of the donors. And today's fantastic because we finally get them together. And so for once, I'm not in the middle of the road. I'm just sort of bringing us all together. So it's a great chance to get together and talk. I really look forward to this day. I didn't always. When I started, I was seized with anxiety every year that we would do this because I didn't realize really how kind of joyful it is to get together and find out the usefulness of the body donors and how grateful we are. I think that's one thing that's really central. And the other thing is that I feel like I can discharge this debt of gratitude that I have to the families and to the donors. So it'll start building up tomorrow, 364 more days of waiting to be able to thank everybody for what they've managed to do for us. Well, another thing is, why are you here? If the faculty are here because they would like to meet the families, and the students are here to thank you. There might be people who are here for the sandwiches. I don't really know, but the point is that I think a lot of you are here partially because you're curious, and you should be, right? Curiosity is the basis of education. And who are we in anatomy? Well, here we are. So that's one thing. You get to talk to us and get to know us. And I think many of you are probably looking for some closure. It's been a difficult year, I'm sure, where you've had a difficult loss, and it's good to find out what's actually been happening. And I think the other thing is it's really good just to get together. It's good to get together because you're part of the family, but it's also, I hope, good to get together with us and just see the feeling of community. And one thing I can offer you, and perhaps an anatomy program is a strange place for it, but I can offer you some hope. I can offer you the hope and the truth, in fact, that the memories that you have endure, and that the contribution of the donor endures with us. So who are we? Well, we provide, we hope, relevant and motivating educational opportunities for about 2,000 students in any one year. That's how many people come through our lab. Often in a week, we'll have 1,000 students through the lab. We have 4 anatomy facilities. We have a large facility in the hospital, a smaller satellite facility on campus, and we also have facilities in Waterloo and in Niagara region. So I manage those or mismanage them, depending on who you talk to. One of the things that I used to do is kind of give you all my perspective of things. I think it's largely wasted because the students do such a better job. And so I'm going to let them really talk about their contributions. But the one thing I do want to mention is that we often talk, about the frailty of the human body and the way that, it often seems like we live on a tightrope and that sort of thing. But students don't really know that. They're very young for the most part. And they don't really have a lot of experience with this sort of thing. But I tell you, when they're in the lab, the frailty of the body and fragility, it's no obscure concept. And this is one of the most incredible things. And the other thing that perhaps you don't realize is that the beauty and the resilience and the fragility of the body are all there for them to look at. And that's something that you can't get any other time. And finally, I think what we really do a fine job of is really showing the students about personal sacrifice. You know, the body donor is someone who can't possibly benefit from their gift. And this supreme example of altruism, I think, really affects the students. I'd like to finish off with a little quote from Leonardo da Vinci. Most people don't realize how great an anatomist he was. I mean, he was a bit of an inventor and he could sketch a bit, but he was a great anatomist. And he wrote that though human ingenuity may make various inventions, it will never devise any inventions more beautiful or more complete or more simple than nature does. And it's because of the donors and it's because of you, right, that we've been given this chance to show the students that beauty and the simplicity that Da Vinci talked about. And for that group, for that gift, we're truly grateful. So I'd like to turn the service over to Reverend Alison Barrett, and I'll leave the stage.
Come into this place of peace and let it heal your spirit. Come into this place of remembering and let it warm your heart. Come into this place of gratitude and let it inspire your living. We are here this day to give thanks and to remember the gifts given by those who dedicated themselves to greater learning by donating to the educational program in anatomy. We are here to honor their altruism, their vision, and their generosity, recognizing that even in death, the seeds of new life may be sown. Our ceremony today is to bear witness to selflessness and to hear the voices of students speak to us of learning, of appreciation, of the future healing that will come because of the gifts of life that were given. Therefore, today we gather to affirm the sacredness of life, the goodness of our fellow human beings, and to celebrate the mystery of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The poet Nancy Wood writes, "You shall ask, what good are dead leaves? And I will tell you, they nourish the sore earth. You shall ask, what reason is there for winter? And I will tell you, to bring about new leaves. You shall ask, why are the leaves so green? And I will tell you, because they are rich with life. You shall ask, why must summer end? And I will tell you, so that leaves will die." And the great Islamic poet Rumi wrote, "I lived for hundreds of years as a mineral and then died and was reborn as a plant. I lived for hundreds of years as a plant and then died and was reborn as an animal. I lived for hundreds of years as an animal and then died and was reborn as a human being. What have I ever lost by dying?" We are here today to affirm that life does indeed arise even from death, and to remember and celebrate the good gifts of these lives. We will celebrate by the lighting of candles and speaking of words of appreciation. Throughout history, human beings have affirmed a life force that creates, animates, and sustains every living thing, a mysterious power known by many names, all of them partial, none of them fully adequate. Let us begin by acknowledging that great force, reflecting that life and its creation is for us not only a mystery, but also a gift. Lighting the first candle that celebrates the mystery of God and the gift of life will be Liz Jensen of the educational program in anatomy. Dr. Rob White, the Assistant Dean of the undergraduate MD program, will be our faculty speaker.
Good morning. I'd like to thank Reverend Barrett and Dr. Wainman for inviting me to participate in this very special service. It's really an honor for me to have time to spend with you all today. Yesterday, I had the privilege of selecting the valedictorian for this year's graduating class. Convocation for us is that moment. It represents a culmination of many years of hard work, learning, and training. Several hundred Faculty of Health Sciences students will convocate this spring. And collectively, they will have spent thousands of hours learning anatomy in the educational program in anatomy. Most of them will affectionately have come to call that space the Anatomy Lab. We gather today to celebrate the commitment made by your family, your friends, your loved ones. This is a gift for which we are immensely grateful. They have placed in us a trust which we honor. When you or I go to a teaching hospital or a clinic for healthcare, we go making a conscious decision to allow a novice to learn through us. But we know that we also have the opportunity to directly influence that learning. We can speed things up, we can slow things down, we can ask questions, we can even ask that the staff doctor or midwife or physiotherapist take over. We have a voice in that interaction. After death, when we give ourselves or our loved ones in the service of learning, we do so with an implied trust. We no longer have a voice. Today, though, you will hear different voices, the voices of our students, representing the many health professionals and health science programs who benefit from the donations of self that bring us together today. And I hope as you hear from our students that you will be reassured that your trust is well placed. It's a time when computer games have remarkably lifelike graphics, when we can literally hold very powerful computers in the palms of our hands. And in fact, our surgeons learn to do surgery through virtual reality. So you might wonder, with all this technology, why we still learn anatomy the way we have for hundreds of years, and why we still ask people to make such personal donations. It would seem to me that learning anatomy, learning how the human form gives rise to function, is still very much a human experience. We learn not only about others, but we learn about ourselves, our form, our function. We learn to connect with others in a deeply spiritual way, in a way that cannot be filled with the conversation and the busyness of our clinics, in a way that remains unspoken, where the commitment, the gift, it's understood, if not stated. For many of our learners, the educational program in anatomy will be the first time in their newly forming professional careers that they will confront the emotional, psychological, and social aspects of death and dying. We are forced to come to terms with our own humanity, and in turn, that ultimately teaches us to be closer to others. So you can see that learning about anatomy is much more than learning new words and structures and forms and functions. It is a spiritual gift made possible by a special gift of trust. Today we express our gratitude for such a special gift. Soon another school year will end, and our graduates will be taking what they've learned here to the hospitals and clinics and communities where they will begin to give back. Most of them will not consciously contemplate the days that they spent in the anatomy lab during their day-to-day work, but the impact will still be felt in the care that they give to their patients and clients. So from this important gift, the impact is broad, immeasurable, immense. And for this, on behalf of the many programs of the Faculty of Health Sciences and the many people that our students will serve, we thank you.
We human beings live in the shadow of our physical mortality. It is the very awareness of our mortality that inspires us to live, to love, and to try and make a difference in our world. We strive to live in a way that makes sense of our dying. For all of us as human beings, the question, therefore, is not whether we will die, but how we will live so that our lives will have meant something, so that the world will be a better place for our having been. Alicia Fernandez of the Michael G. DeGroote Undergraduate Medical Program will now light the candle of the mystery of life and death for the way in which they are connected, and then we'll speak.
Good morning, everyone. The mystery of life and death is an enduring one for humankind. And I think most intriguing about that mystery is that period of time when we are with our loved ones as they transition from life to death. In that time, we hurt, we ache, and we wonder, where have they gone? What will their legacy be? And importantly, how can we keep them alive within us? I came to McMaster for the first time last September as a new medical student. And we all have our ideas about what being a medical student means. We probably have an idea in most of our minds where we're picturing someone who will work hard and acquire skills and ultimately have the capacity to help people through both the joyful and the difficult moments in life. As medical students, we learn a great deal from others, from our interactions, from our observations, and, importantly, from the legacies that others leave behind. One of the most effective ways by which we can learn about the human body and how it works is through the study of human anatomy and anatomical pathology. When we reflect upon the loss of a loved one and we wonder about those things, so where they've gone and what their legacy is and how they can remain alive within us, you must know that your gift and the gift that your loved ones have given us was and continues to be a great gift. Your families and the loved ones who now reside as fixtures at McMaster in the educational program in anatomy, they live on every day. They teach us, they actually show us, and they inspire us. Every time that I visit them, I consider the generous and selfless gift that they've given to us, because the gift is manifold. It's not only the opportunity to learn anatomy, which is of course, initially what our goal is when we first arrive at McMaster as a new professional student, but it's also the opportunity to learn how to respect the human body and how to observe its resilience in spite of anatomical pathology, and also to reflect in awe of the complexity of the structures which form and sustain human life. Your loved ones, though they may no longer be with us, they really do live on. As a future practitioner, I would like to express to each of you my sincere gratitude for offering this great gift to medical students and to all of the other healthcare professions that are educated here at McMaster. And I look forward to meeting some of you at the luncheon service that's going to be happening after the service today. So thank you.
Our next candle is for the healing of grief. Perhaps time has passed that has enabled us to see the possibility of healing. Perhaps for some, the loss is very fresh and recent. The third candle is lit to comfort us in our grief, wherever we may be in that tender and precious journey. It is also a candle which reminds us that although there will always be a void in our hearts for those whom we have loved and lost, that time, faith, and love can begin healing the pain of grief. Stefan Jakob of the Rehabilitation Sciences Occupational Therapy Program will light our third candle, the candle of the healing of grief, and then speak.
Good morning, families, professors, teachers, and colleagues. Today we share some of our experiences in our lives and how those have changed and shaped us to who we are today. One of the hardest times that I consider part of our lives is grief, and this takes shape in many different forms for each one of us. Often the hardest grief to endure is loss, especially the loss of a loved one who is no longer part of our daily lives. However, it is important to note that they will always be remembered. We may sometimes feel shocked, remain in disbelief, experience sadness, guilt, anger, or even fear as we remember our emotions, such as love, over a lifetime. And although we feel these emotions as a result of his journey's end, it is with time that we heal, and we realize that perhaps what we miss most from our love as them as persons, but also their actions, their attitudes, their actions, and everything that they enjoyed and the things that they disliked. And really, these pictures that we have in front of them that remind us of them are some of those actions that they represented them. When I remember my experiences with grief or loss, I tie it in closely with what I was doing that moment, and I often remember what I was doing very vividly. Loss can feel fresh and recent, even though it might have been a long time ago, though part of our healing in time is to remember the moments that we shared. And with time we heal, and with faith we move forwards. I think that we can all remember what we were doing the morning, afternoon, evening, or moments before we received the news of our loss. I didn't always think of the things we do as an occupation until I was introduced to my role as a student occupational therapist. And I often get asked what occupational therapy is. It is not an easy answer, and it always depends. And I think that's the case with anything that we do as students when trying to learn any new questions or answers. Looking back, I think we're defined by our occupations. And as students, our occupations are focused towards our learning for both ourselves and others. One of the many ways that occupational therapists talk about life is through the interactions of the person, our environments, and our occupation, or the PEO, the good fits and the poor fits within our lives. Anatomy has been one of the many occupations that I was exposed to as a student thus far. And within understanding our PEO, our good fits and our poor fits, the person components are us as students, our role as being anatomy students. Our good fit with our PEO were the direct results of the contributions provided by those whom we are remembering today, and as students we are greatly appreciative of the many individuals that have been part of our journey. In anatomy we learned the entire body. We learned all the different systems that make us who we are. Though what struck me the most was the intricate network of connections that linked everything together. I was amazed at all of the veins, the arteries, the connections between muscles, bones, and tissue that exist within each of our own bodies. It is indescribable. What I really learned is that this vast network exits beyond the body. We are built from our connections, whether those are connections within ourselves or our world, and they are what brought us here today. As grief will inevitably take each and one of us on unique journeys, we may often experience a forfeit within our lives. Though today, as we move forward in time and into our acceptance of our losses and grief, the loved ones, we should remember that we are at peace, we have a good fit, and it is this fit that allowed us to pursue and continue our lives. Thank you.
The experience of joy is an affirmation of faith in the ultimate triumph of life, of love, and of the human spirit. The Christian Maronite poet Khalil Gibran wrote of joy and sorrow. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. How else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. When you are sorrowful, look into your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Gifts of human living come with a price, and this price is love. The greater the love that has been carved into our heart, the greater the loss we feel. And so our third candle says that we are weeping for that which has been our delight. We honor and celebrate the joy that we were first given by those who came before us in the lighting of our fourth candle, the candle of joy, lit by Mike Willand, a student of the biomedical engineering program who will then speak.
On behalf of the students and faculty from both the chemical and electrical engineering disciplines, I'd like to thank the families of our donors for their gift of imparting knowledge and inspiring future engineers. As a former electrical and biomedical engineering undergraduate student, my first exposure to anatomy was during my third year, and it was a big change from the day-to-day textbook grind and theoretical workup. The opportunity to learn in a hands-on fashion and to learn about the most remarkable machine out there, the human body, had me captivated long after the course was over. Since then, I've enrolled as a graduate student and have been a teaching assistant in the anatomy physiology course for the past 6 years. Much like my own experiences, the engineering students that I teach today are in awe of the opportunity they have. Not only do they learn about the human body, but they inspire to question things. They ask how and why certain systems in the body work the way they do. And when things in the body don't function as they should, they ask how they can make it better. In essence, the wheels in their creative engineering minds are spinning, and they are inspired to create medical devices or treatments that can benefit healthcare in the future. Although this forward thinking may sound far-fetched, numerous examples of brilliant senior design projects showcase how these students can combine their knowledge of anatomy and engineering skills to create exciting devices. Some of these examples include an innovative brain-controlled wheelchair, a simple neonatal monitoring system, and quick and non-invasive methods to measure blood glucose, heart rate, and oxygen concentration. Engineers by nature are visual and hands-on learners. They need something tangible in order to appreciate the complexity and beauty of it. The gift your loved ones made has truly been a gift of knowledge and inspiration for these students. Once again, on behalf of the faculty and students in engineering, I'd like to express our sincere and heartfelt thanks for the priceless gift and opportunity that our donors and their families have provided us. Thank you.
The fifth candle is the candle of memory. Death cannot separate us from love, nor from our memories either. Someone once said, "Death ends a life, but not a relationship." Those we have loved always live on in our hearts and memories. As long as we live, they live too. They live on to enrich and bless us. Death can take many things from us, but it can never take our love or our memories away. They grow ever more precious in time. So our fifth candle is lit for the candle of memory, and I would invite Melanie Clark, a student of the Bachelor of Health Sciences Kinesiology program, to light the candle of memory and then to speak.
Unfortunately, our fourth candle doesn't seem to be cooperating with me today. My name is Melanie, and as said, I'm a student in the Bachelor of Kinesiology program at McMaster, and I just finished that program, actually. But my experience with the anatomy lab goes far beyond that. I've been a teaching assistant for anatomy, and I've also been working as a student staff member in the anatomy lab for the past 2 years. An anonymous author once said, "Love is stronger than death, even though it can't stop death from happening. But no matter how hard death tries, it can't separate people from love. It can't take away our memories either. In the end, life is stronger than death." As we're gathered here today to express our gratitude for the beautiful gifts that have been given to the education program in anatomy over the past year, I just want to personally share my experience with the anatomy program. I want to reassure you that the gifts of your loved ones is not taken for granted, but it's a precious blessing to the anatomy program as a whole. It's a gift that's appreciated by myself as well as by the thousands of other students that have the opportunity to learn in the anatomy lab. And although I do not have personal memories of the donors, I can see the true love that you have for your loved ones as we're here to really celebrate their lives and express their gratitude. During the past few years that I've had the opportunity of working for the anatomy program here at McMaster, I've had the opportunity to learn anatomy in a way that goes far deeper than a textbook ever could. I've seen the true beauty and intricacy of the human body, and I consider myself blessed to have had the opportunity to work in a workplace that interests me and really spurs me on to learn more and gain more knowledge. It's a rare thing that a student and someone who's working part-time during school will go home after a long day and choose to do more research and more learning and read more scholarly articles, but my experience in the anatomy lab has led me to do just this. It's really fostered a desire to learn and a desire to gain knowledge about anatomy, and I thank you all personally for that, because without the precious gifts of your loved ones, I wouldn't have the same passion for anatomy and for learning that I currently have. And I know as well that through observing other students studying in the anatomy lab, that they appreciate it and really respect all of the donors. And I know that the anatomy program at McMaster makes McMaster a better university as a whole. As I said, I don't have personal memories of the donors from when they were living, but I assure you that they're so appreciated now. And I can tell you that I have memories now. I have memories of learning from the donors. I have memories of seeing things firsthand and of coming to understand, of having light bulb moments where things really come together and things make sense so much more than they ever would in a textbook. And I know that this phenomenon is not just something for me, it's something for other students as well. And I know that my time spent working and learning in the education program in anatomy has been much more than just a job for me. As a graduate of McMaster, it's one of the aspects of the school that I will miss the most and that I will hold the fondest memories of. So I just want to personally express my gratitude to each and every one of you for the precious gift of your loved ones.
Unitarian Albert Schweitzer wrote these words: "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Today we affirm our gratitude towards those whose generosity has inspired us. We give great thanks for their vision, their generosity, their altruism. They gave so that others may learn, so that others may be healed. They gave indeed so that others may in future live. There is no greater gift." I invite Andrew Palambella of the Education Program in Anatomy to light our sixth candle, the candle of Thanksgiving, and to speak.
I have had the privilege of working in various anatomy labs for the last 3 years. Over this period of time, I continue to feel humbled by your loved ones' generosity. Their selfless gift is a decision that contributes to the knowledge of countless future health professionals. Here, at McMaster University, the education program in anatomy serves numerous professional faculties. Your loved ones have facilitated learning for undergraduate students, as well as individuals in the rehabilitation sciences, medicine, nursing, midwifery, the physician's assistance program, and engineering. Thank you for entrusting your family member, your friend, to us. It is certainly understandable if there is a tendency to have reservations regarding your loved one's choice to bequeath their body. It is not always an easy decision to accept. It is hoped that our gratitude shared this morning will provide comfort and closure to this admirable deed that continues to give. At this solemn time, I hope you will be open to reflect on how much your loved ones have provided for us. Whatever their role and occupation in life, you can now add teacher to that list. I truly hope you can take pride and comfort in this, their final act of kindness. Wishing you comfort and peace in the midst of pain, and hope and understanding in the midst of sorrow.
As we close our service of appreciation, we affirm that love is the ultimate triumph of the human spirit. Love and kindness are never wasted. They always make a difference. They bless the one who receives them, and they bless the giver. As Caitlin O'Connell from the Education Program in Anatomy lights the final candle, the candle of love, I would like to close with a beautiful traditional Buddhist blessing, wishing universal peace and harmony. The Buddha taught this prayer to his community. May all beings be filled with joy and peace. May all beings everywhere, the strong and the weak, the great and the small, may all beings everywhere, seen and unseen, dwelling far off or nearby, being, having been, or waiting to become, may all be filled with lasting joy. Just as a mother with her own life protects her child from harm, so within yourself let grow a boundless love for all creatures. I would now like to call upon Dr. Catherine Tompkins, the Associate Dean, School of Nursing at McMaster University, to read the donor roll of honor.
It's a distinct honor to stand before you today as a representative of the School of Nursing and the Faculty of Health Sciences, and to thank you on behalf of myself and Dean John Kelton. To thank you for your unselfish generosity in your moment of pain. You were able to go beyond yourselves and contemplate giving the most precious gift of all. To thank you for the trust you put in us to safeguard this gift and use it wisely. and to thank you for your vision. Of the many new challenges faced by our students, learning through the use of human bodies is frequently cited as one for which they feel least prepared, and the intensity of their reaction often catches them off guard. In the midst of a sterile laboratory, they are suddenly face to face with the sanctity and preciousness of human life, and with their own vulnerability. Each student must face these feelings, acknowledge them, learn how to move beyond them, and yet to hold on to them, so that whatever they do as health professionals, they never lose sight of the sanctity of human life. Your generosity in moving beyond your own sorrow to contribute to the education of thousands of future health professionals allows our students to learn not only about the human body, but also to contemplate the human condition. We're here to contemplate and celebrate the human condition and acknowledge the power of a name. May your hearts be soothed by hearing the sound of your loved one's name.
Thank you, Dr. Compkins. I would invite each of you to stand for a minute of silence in honor of the names of those we have just spoken. May their names be written on the tree of life. Amen. You may be seated. All who are here today have our own individual faith and beliefs, but we are united by our desire to honor the loving memory of those whose generosity we celebrate this day, in gratitude for the gift of learning their contribution has made, and in our shared desire to help create a better world. I invite each of you to bow your heads in your own spirit of prayer or meditation as we join together in one heart. Spirit of life, we give thanks for your gift that has enabled us to learn from your great mysteries. Spirit of healing, we give thanks for the ways you have found us and pray for your continued companionship along the journey from grief to memory. Spirit of joy, we give thanks for the laughter, joy, and delight we have known. Spirit of gratitude, we give thanks for the generosity of spirit we have seen and shared. May it be an inspiration to us throughout our lives. Spirit of love, known by many names, giver of all that is eternal, we give thanks for your greatest of all gifts. May we hold you in our hearts through all our days. So may it be. Amen. I would now like to call upon Dr. Bruce Wayman to come forward again to conclude our service and invite you to a reception following the service.
Well, hello, everyone. Well, at the beginning of the service, the point, I think, was to make sure that everyone understood how grateful we are, to realize how significant those gifts were, and I think to remove any mystery there might have been, because this is who we are. There's no mystery. I would like to thank very sincerely Reverend Allison Barrett. I'd like to thank Bev Wilson on flute and Marku Wainman on guitar. I'd also like to thank Patricia Hartnett, who did the organization. Now, I'd like to, just a couple of small house cleaning things, or housekeeping things. If you haven't got a parking pass, make sure you get one. That'd be important. Also, feel free to stroll around the university. It's a fantastic time of year. The gardens are in full bloom. And I'd also like to make sure that you get a little gift that we have, some lily bulbs. So if you want to start a small garden of remembrance or whatever, it's great. They're lovely lilies. I can attest to that. And I would certainly like to thank everybody for coming. We're going to have a lunch that's going to be put out in just a few minutes. And if you'd like to hang about, I know that we're going to have some music and that we'll be around to chat with everyone. So I hope you can stay for lunch. Thank you so much.